Life Audio.
Today on Talk About That, John gets into a fight with his brother and chases down some teenage boys like a modern-day vigilante. Meanwhile, I visit a sarcastically named walk-in clinic and reveal the perfect defense against getting mugged. Plus a conversation about what it really means to be blessed. Today's episode is not sponsored by Bed Bath & Beyond, when life hands you linens.
Summertime. Let's talk about that.
Let's just sit back and unwind.
Do you have a Will Smith like summertime playlist from the 90s?
I had the CD. I had the it was a single. Maybe I even had the single.
Single.
Remember when those?
Yeah, a cassette tape of a single song.
Yeah, and it would be like $1 or $2.
Yeah, I loved summertime.
Yeah,
love it. Although I did pick out the other day that there are some inconsistencies in the song.
Oh, really? Would you like to share about those?
Well, he's talking in the second verse about my wife loved it when I did this on our staycation.
Where you dissect songs?
Yeah. It was like he's saying that he goes to the barbecue.
Yeah.
And then he goes and plays ball. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to go out cruising. And he's like, and so, you just finished wiping the car you just spent all day wiping down.
Right. And you're like, well, you've not, because you've been at other places.
You were out buying shoes at the mall, I think he said. Then you were at a barbecue.
Right.
Then, how is it possible you were wiping down your car all day? I want answers.
Oh, you spent all day waxing. That's what it was.
Waxing, yeah. Wiping, too.
Maybe it was the day before, though.
I don't know, Johnny. I think you're giving him too much credit. I'm just saying the timeline doesn't line up for me. And
we want answers, Will.
I want Will to come on.
I feel like it's a good time to come at him in a very, just interrogate Will. I think he's ready for that.
I imagine that right now he probably would have a calmer response than before. Was that the Oscars or the Emmy?
It was the Oscars.
Grammys. Okay, Oscars.
That was the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go up and you hit one guy in the face on live television, everybody freaks out.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. If any of us normal people would have done that, we'd have been arrested.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like, I think about that sometimes. I
can just tell you about the times I've hit people. Have you ever been in a fight? Like a real fight?
No.
Really?
My brother and I got into a one
day.
Like
fists?
No, I jumped him on the driveway. I was probably 15.
You jumped him?
I was probably 15. He was like 17.
I jumped him in the driveway.
We were having an argument about something. I said, don't say that.
It sounds like you're in a back alley. We waited for him to come in the corner, and then we jumped him.
I jumped him from the front, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey.
Well, that's not jumping him. That's not.
I was like, hey, don't say that again.
Okay.
And then he said it again. And then I just leapt on him, But it was more like it's one of those, I wasn't going to just punch him right in his nose. But we were, the wrestling on the ground and the gravel kind of thing.
Well, that's not.
No.
Wrestling on the gravel's not.
No, it wasn't great.
Great.
No.
The gravel's doing all the punching.
Yeah.
If you're rolling on gravel, those are like little tiny fists of fury.
Little tiny fists of fury.
But
I don't like hurting people.
Yeah. Except for your brother. Obviously.
I think if I really wanted to hurt him, I would have,
My brother used to do this thing because I was always the big twin. Okay.
Yeah.
So I always could beat him in a fight. So he would say horrible things and we would say horrible things to each other. And then he would run from me. Because if I got a hold of him, it's over.
Yeah.
He would run. He would lay down on the bed and just start bicycle kicking.
Oh.
You can't get in there.
No.
Those kicks are going in the air and then you lean in to get a shot in. You take a foot right to the face.
It's pretty brilliant.
It is.
Yeah,
It's almost like a foot nunchucks. Like he's just whirling like a helicopter blade at you.
Half of a praying mantis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a kicking mantis. Bicycling mantis. Anyway, that's the perfect. If you're a smaller person, the bicycle kick on your back. We should teach that in self-defense classes.
Right, if you're walking down the street in New York. And
I got my wallet, and you just flop on the ground and start kicking in the air.
Kicking, man.
They'll either think, there's no way I'm getting this person's wallet, or they're going to run away thinking you've lost your mind.
Right. And you need something to be yelling or saying at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Kicking mantis. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, some kind of, like an incantation. They go, this person's not stable. There's probably nothing in this wallet. It's what you want them to think. Like, even if I get their wallet, it's probably like a Sam's Club card and that's it.
Yeah. The only problem with the mugging scenario is that generally if you get mugged, there's a weapon involved. And in that case, now if you have a knife, they still can't get to you. Maybe they could try to cut your feet. But if they have a gun, you're a little out of luck. Because you just brought kicking to a gun show. Wait. To a gunfight.
Yeah.
You just brought kicking mantis to a gunfight. Yeah. I would
As the old saying goes.
If the mugger said that, you know what, boy?
Yeah.
You just brought kicking mantis to a gunfight.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I don't want
I think he would stop and be like, you know what? I was going to mug you, but I respect this. I think he would come to a mutual agreement that day.
Do you in your mind ever think about how you could win over some unreasonable situation that others can't?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think I think about it in the moment, but I just know that it's got me out of many a jam. The fact that I can diffuse awkward situations before they become tense. And I know it's served me well. It's probably got me into a jam or two because sometimes I just say things because I go, well, I'll get out of this. I can say the weird thing that nobody would say, and then I'll get out of it with another thing.
Yeah.
So I probably got myself into as many jams with my mouth too, but I've definitely talked my way out of weird stuff.
Well, in the youth pastor world and the teacher world, there was a lot of breaking things up.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of, but it gives you a false sense of security a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I told you the other night we were watching Little Mermaid and three teenage boys came in and yelled like a racial slur. And I got up. I realized just instinctively, and then they ran. You know, they came in, said something stupid.
And did you chase them?
I got up and walked out to go find them.
Yeah.
I was like, and as I'm doing, I'm going,
what's your end game?
What's
your
plan?
plan?
Do? You know, they're not in your youth group. They're bigs. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you're not a law enforcement officer. You have no authority here. You're just.
You can't outrun them. They're just going to run.
Hey, now.
There's no way you catch them.
Why would they run? They're going to look at you and you're going to run. But I mean,
what if they all flopped on their back and started kicking their feet in the air?
If they did like a group kicking mantis.
Yeah.
Bro.
Ironically, that's probably how the Little Mermaid would have fought off an attacker too.
That's true. Crab kick is what she would have called it.
The old fin to the face. But yeah, so you didn't catch him? You didn't.
So I walked out. There was a guy standing out there that looked about my age and looked like he had seen. I go, did you see some guys come out here? He goes, he kind of gave me the look like, yeah.
Oh, they've been in other theaters.
Like, they're in that theater now.
Oh boy.
And so
they're rabble rousers.
So I saw they came out and kind of ran, and he goes, that's them. And they came out and ran out the exit to the theater. So I could have chased them into the parking lot, but come look here, sir. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, at some point now you're the adult that's like chasing kids around. It's going to get weird.
They were not, I mean, they were probably 16, 17.
Oh, okay.
They could have taken me easily.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Three 16-year-olds.
Strapping young men.
They could take you down.
But my goal wasn't to fight. I don't know what I think there's always that like.
You want to teach them a lesson.
I think I'm just going to reach them. I don't know. There's like some, hey guys, come on.
That's not we're trying to have a civilization here.
Yeah. Like, have you guys read my book, Not So Black and White?
Exactly.
Give me your email addresses. I'll send you a link.
No, you have one handy. You go.
Yoink.
They think you're going to like use it as a weapon. You're like, no. Seriously, read this.
Read this, guys. Yeah. I did have a situation.
My weapon is knowledge. Children. Hey, could you say young people? Young people.
Young people, why? There was a situation, and I have to be purposely vague.
Oh, okay.
Where there was a racial thing that I was present for that was escalating. Mm-hmm. That I had authority because it was near my property.
Right.
You know, and that was a situation I did get involved in and broke stuff like, hey, this is not happening here.
Yeah.
And made people leave, and, you know, they had interesting conversations with both sides in the aftermath, you know. So I do think that there are times where a peacemaker, which is interesting. I've been listening to Lectio, as you know.
Yeah.
And Lectio 365, which I wish they were a sponsor because they're amazing. If you guys don't listen to that, go to Lectio 365.
We should reach out to sponsors we want.
Yeah.
Like.
Not that we don't want the sponsors we have.
We love them.
We do. In fact, this would be a great time to feature them. Because we want to hear what they have to say.
They help us pay the bills, you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. So, hey, take a listen here to a few of our sponsors. But I was listening to Lectio, which is what you got to do. You listen to Lectio.
Right.
You can read it, but if you push the play button.
But it's more meditative.
Yeah, there's like pads and music behind it, and there's different and plus, people with Irish and British accents and whatnot.
Right.
There was a lady reading on the last few weeks, like her Scottish brogue was so. I couldn't understand some of the words.
Nice. Like, okay, that's what you want when you're talking about the Bible. You want more confusion.
Correct. And no, I got it. I was like, oh, okay, but it was. I mean, it was really something else for an American English speaker.
Yeah.
But that Lectio was talking about. It was about blessed are the peacemakers. And then I happened to be reading another book called Misreading Scripture Through Western Eyes. Oh, it's a good one, guys. Misreading Scripture.
We've talked about it on the podcast once or twice before.
And he talked about how like the translation of the word blessed, or blessed are the peacemakers, and like how that's the English word, and some translations even take it to happy. Yeah. Because it's the best thing, but it has this in the Hebrew / even Greek culture, which Jesus would have been speaking in Aramaic, like it had a much broader application. And that in the English language, it's like we need like, hey, what does that mean? Give me the one thing that means. Yeah. When and we want even to steer away from passive tense. It's like if you're in English or history writing in school, then your teacher's gonna be like, wait, you instead of saying, the treaty was signed by all of the parties, they would want you to say the parties signed the treaty. You know what I'm saying? Like, so quickly get to the point, and how then the translators in English over the years then are constantly, because that's the way English works, they're removing passive tense, and they're also trying to, we want like the answer, like boil down to what does this mean? When actually blessed has this whole bigger connotation to it. It's not like you get a blessing. What we think of that is transactionally. Yeah. We go, oh, be a peacemaker. You get a blessing, and you get a blessing. And like, and that we kind of see it that way, as opposed to what probably Jesus meant by that in the hearers in the original language of understand is all of these things in the Beatitudes. Like when this life is lived this way, there are blessings that are happening from the lifestyle, like not just in addition to, like here we see blessing as a reward, right? Almost like, no, that is blessing. Or that is contentment. Peacemakers have this.
Yeah, it's like we always say like, it's better to give than to receive, but that's not what it is. It's more blessed to give than to receive. But the blessing is that you got to give. So like we're thinking like it's better to give than receive because now we might get a little transactional thing. Yeah, it's but like I've been in a position to give into so many ministries and so many people in need. And over the course of my life, I was raised by a mother who's founded a ministry. And literally she worked third shift at a radio station before she founded the group home ministry, housing ministry. And sometimes she would just come home with a person, like a homeless person. And she'd be like, you're bunking with your brother tonight. And I would go into his room, and the three of us boys would share a room, and we would have a random homeless person in my bedroom. Wow. Or she would hear about somebody that needed their light bill paid. They would call and say, would you please pray for me? And she'd be like, okay. And then when the call would end, she'd be like praying for them. And then she'd be like, keep them on the line. And she would get their name and their account number. And then on her way home, she would go pay the person's light bill. Yeah. So like my mom was painfully broke until the day she died. And I know this because I was responsible for all of her debt. Yeah. When she did die, I was the one who had to like send the death certificate to places so they would waive her debts. And but she was one of the most blessed people I ever was around. Yeah. Because she knew she had found the secret. She had unlocked it. So it was important. That was a huge part of my upbringing, was that like we keep an eye out for places where we can be a blessing to people. It was just part of the way that I was raised, But if I was to look at it as like, and then she got rich because of all the things no. If anything, the world would look at her as a doormat. Yeah. If you looked at her through like secular eyes, she
wasn't blessed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
She didn't get her just due. You know, she didn't finally, nobody ever really recognized.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how it works sometimes. But she knew, and God knew. And I know now, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially now in my 40s, I get so much more of the rich, like, heritage of what she was doing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a depth to it.
Well, she had a depth of joy. And I mean, again, she was a human with issues, but I think you're right. One of the most blessed people I knew who was, I think expanding that definition or really drilling down on what it means to us and then reclaiming it for what it's supposed to be. I mean, you're exactly right. Like there is a...
Yeah, to be in a position to meet a need for somebody is a blessing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's the life in Christ. It's what Christ does. Like literally you get to do what he does.
It's why we feel that feeling when you go. I mean, short-term missions has really come under fire over the last decade or so. And I think to some degree, there's probably a reason for some of that. That whole idea of like white savior mentality can take hold and all that. But to the degree that I believe in short-term missions, it is that thing of like going someplace, picking up a shovel and immediately being able to make a difference. And you have this feeling that comes over you.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing what you're meant to do in that moment. You know, there's even scripture that talks about that. And I think that when you unlock that for somebody as a teenager, maybe you take a youth group on a trip like that, you're maybe unlocking a thing in them that they'll take through the rest of their life where they start keeping their eyes peeled for other ways. You hope. And it's not just going to be like, remember we did that thing, we posed with a bunch of people who were less fortunate than us for Instagram photos. Hopefully you hope it doesn't end there. You hope it becomes this thing that kind of fuses itself to their brain, you know?
I think you're right. It has the rightful criticisms of it, you know, obviously his money could be better spent, given to locals, and it ends up being almost a vacation experience, you know, for privileged people who can afford it. There's merit because it can go too far to all of those arguments, but you're dead on right that what you can't replace is that feeling and experience that the whole goal would be that you take that back home and that in fact, we talk about it all the time here that every day is a mission trip. It's one of our things around here that we got that from Watermark Church. But what if that feeling was actually your real life?
Yeah.
Like that you woke up, who today, and on a mission trip, the big thing is who did I help? You're not too busy. We talked about that last week. You're not too busy being interrupted by a child while you're on the work site. If the kids that you're building the playground for run up to you, that's why you're there.
Yeah.
And you stop and find you don't even speak the same language. So suddenly all those introverted tendencies or, you know, awkward tendencies,
right.
You're like, you just go, you know, you go through them and past them and it works out. So it's a fascinating, I think, to get people, Andrew's always really good about that. I want people to experience what that is because I think you nailed it. This is what I was made to do.
Yeah.
I was made, even if I'm working a job, this is what I was made to do. And there is again, blessing is not an adequate word for it. There is a sense of joy, contentment, peace, hope, fulfillment, all these things that make blessing in our life. There's a sense of all those things that rise up within us.
Yeah, you're unlocking a piece of like the divine identity that's wired into us when you're doing good. And obviously there's a darkness in us that we want credit or we want things, but I just think I've seen what giving can do to people and what the idea of blessing somebody when nobody's looking can do. And there's something to it. And then you're breaking up fights in movie theaters and chasing kids down. That does something to people.
I made a big difference that day.
You really did.
Those kids.
If they only knew, if you'd got a hold of them, grab them up by the shirt tail.
My goodness.
What do you think you're doing?
That's so funny. So funny.
You want to speak to a manager, basically. It's fine.
I rarely think anymore, Johnny, that I'm the answer to a problem. So that was instinctive to go check those guys out. But I don't think I'm the hero in the scene anymore. I think that's an evangelical thing and probably my own personality to think, oh yeah, you know what this needs? John.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up and do a thing. And it's like, now I'm like, you know what? It probably doesn't
just
need
a dash of John. Yeah. A little John will do you. Work things out. I don't know.
Usually what life does not need is a dash of John.
Yeah. Yeah, John a day keeps them. I don't know.
That's
So I'm driving in rural like Indiana a few weeks ago, and I saw this clinic, and these clinics are called like Care Now or whatever.
Right.
They all have the little names. Simply Care.
yeah.
This one, I couldn't get over the name of it. It was called Well Now. And I thought that was just such a funny, like depending on how you read it, it's pretty snarky.
Yeah. Hey, I got this. I got this ulcer that won't.
It's like when you walk in, they're already folding their arms.
Oh, well, now.
What seems to be the trouble? Look who's playing hooky from work. It's very accusatory.
Try this HSA card. Oh, well, now.
It is. It's very. So I thought of some other businesses.
Okay.
That could be snarkily named, like a dermatologist called. You might want to get that looked at. And then, like a palm reader, but it's called. Well, good luck with all that. And then a GPS app for your phone, and it's just called Where Do You Think You're Going?
Nice.
And then finally a clothing store called Is That What You're Wearing?
I think that.
Well, now not a sponsor, but a real place. It's evidently a chain.
I think that like this implied shame would be effective, actually, probably to draw people, especially for the
it's a little
one.
like maybe for this generation because we've got a little bit of an edge to us.
Yeah, like maybe I should.
Yeah.
Have you watched Inventing Anna on Netflix? Mm-hmm. Like she did that. She would be so mean to you. What are you wearing? I can't do that. I can't do her half German. Half
No,
Russian
don't do
accent,
it.
which
It's
is
a weird
crazy.
accent.
Can't even believe the actor could do
Duvernay, I think was her last name. But yeah, she would put you on your heels by being aggressively, they call it negging. You're being negative.
Yeah.
To get them back on their heels so they feel like they can't be negative back.
Right.
They realize you're in control from the get-go.
Yeah.
She's a very diminutive person.
Yeah.
And so she would come in just guns blazing with negative energy.
Yeah.
And aggressive energy. And so like, oh, well, I guess this person knows what they're doing.
And it usually caused them to acquiesce to whatever she needed from them, but they didn't know that was happening.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's like the root of con man is confidence. Like that's what it means. The con man is confidence. So like she
You
comes
don't
in
have
with
to tell me twice, Johnny.
That's right. You just set me on a new career path. All I needed this whole time was confidence. Maybe that's why I'm not a good scam artist. I have no confidence in myself, you know?
Hey, ma'am, do you have any extra?
Hey, would you want to
credit
invest
card
in this? They're like, no. I'm like, I figured you would, and I knew it wouldn't work out. Yeah, you have no degree of confidence in your con.
Yeah, I've never had someone call me that didn't sound good at it. I guess if you've gotten that far that you're making the calls, you probably have the confidence.
It's par for the course. Even in what I do, obviously you have to have confidence in what you're saying on stage, but I've developed it over the years. It took time. It took time to develop that. It's not I did not come by naturally.
No, you didn't. Like, it's odd to remember those days, but I'll see those pictures of our first show and just two acoustics, and you wanted to be off to the side.
And I'm head down.
Yeah. And which was a dumb move because you're the singer.
My mom bought me a headset microphone.
Yeah, I remember.
And the reason she bought it was because I would pull away from the microphone.
Yeah.
She'd be like, you gotta put your mouth on the microphone. I'd be like, I know. But I was so sheepish.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think about. So she figured she bought me the headset mic. I couldn't get away from it. It's attached to my face.
And who used that mic for years to come?
That would be you, John.
I did.
And this is back in the day when they were big, too. It was a big old ShamWow salesman headset mic.
Well, the kids always call it the Britney mic.
Or Garth Brooks. You had a Garth Brooks. Yeah, he has the one. The one that come way out and around, that's the one he had.
Oh,
it's like a big hoop.
Yeah.
Hula hoop looking thing. It's like a retainer's going to be on the end of it.
Well, they're like shooting him out from under the stage and stuff. He needed that thing to really be robust.
True.
You know, like, so it wouldn't just. I would use it to speak a lot because I hate lapels.
Yeah.
Lapel mics, I need like.
Well, they're not good to sing into anyway. Nobody ever sings through a lapel.
No, but even as a speaker, you don't have the same dynamics. I like to be able to lean into a mic or out of a mic.
Lapels have come a long way, John. I think you need to give them another chance.
I use Countryman now.
Do you? The one that like touches your face. It's like peach colored.
It's real small.
Is it skin colored?
Yeah. And they're a little. Actually, ours is black, but they're finicky.
Yeah.
They don't stay in your head like. Of course, right now apparently the little head thing broke and it's just been taped. And
boy.
And so it's been taped to Andrew's head.
Send your tithes and offerings to.
It's been retaped
John at John Driver.
to the size of Andrew's ears, which I have a pretty small head, but I think Andrew's head is smaller
you're
than
blaming
mine.
the ear size?
So now it doesn't. It's
You're
not.
going after Andrew's big old jug handle
it's
ears?
not his ears.
Oh, okay.
It goes. Oh, it's the size of his.
I thought you were saying
the circumference of his head.
I thought you were acting like he distended and distorted.
No,
and frankly broke the headset mic.
He has put the tape on it to size it to his particular head, and I don't think one size fits all here because normally
whose head is bigger?
I think Andrew's is a little.
So you're saying in essence that it was.
Actually, I think mine's bigger. I think
you're having to mold it.
Yeah, I'm not getting it quite where I want it to be, and I'm sick of it.
I'm starting a new beef here.
This is why I've gone to the public airways.
Yeah, something's got to be done. Why don't you just each have your own?
That'll never work, Johnny.
You don't think?
Well, we could, but
and then you just plug it into the pack every week.
There's only two of us.
Yeah.
Surely we can share a mic. What I need, Dane, if you're listening, is order us the new mic, the new thing that is not broken.
The harness.
Yeah. Because some of them, you probably do this.
The saddle.
I don't know what they're called. Goes into your ear.
Yeah.
And it won't stay.
Yeah.
But that we have the wraparound head thing that comes around to the other ear. That
we don't know what we're talking about. We never do. That's the thing about this show. We have to remember, Curry listened to last week's episode, and she's like, these Disney people are coming after y'all. Because we're talking about octopuses and octopi and squid. And I looked it up, though. A lot of people think that Ursula is an octopus. And she's a squid. Squid evidently have 6 tentacles. Octopi have 8.
So that's the difference.
But I thought in the live action that she was now, but here's the deal. Do you know that she wasn't like the original Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid story? She was like a side character at best. So it's in some other fan fiction that Ursula became the villain. And because Curry was asking me, she goes, now that I think about it, because she loves it more than anything, Little Mermaid, she knows all about it. She goes, why is Ursula a squid? It doesn't make any sense.
Right,
she's the aunt.
Sister.
What kind of? Well, evidently, in one of those fanfic, comics or whatever, she used the power of the trident to make herself not like them. She made herself into a supervillain using the powers,
like you do,
as you do, just like you've made yourself a boss level villain.
Yeah.
You should have done better by yourself, by the way. When you have unlimited powers...
This is what I chose.
Why would you choose this?
It's like I wasted a wish on the genie.
You really did.
It's like, I don't know, can I get a hamburger?
You're like, can I be nearsighted? And you're like, I guess. If you want. Sure. It's fine. You look good in glasses, though.
Well, thanks.
I don't feel like I look good in my glasses. I need to wear them more. I'm supposed to wear them when I drive. But then they tell you not to put them in your car. Have you ever had this?
No.
Because of the heat, evidently the extreme heat's bad for the lenses.
Oh.
And so I go, well, if I don't have them in my car, they're not going to be worn. Because I'll forget to take them out of they're just going to be left in restaurants. It's bad.
I know this is a first world privileged thing to say, but to me, the burden of...
Just make a better lens.
Yeah, like I need you guys to make a lens that's heat resistant. Like, what's the deal?
It gets hot in cars, though. You know that. I mean, it's 1,000 degrees in your car.
You mean we can make a car that can drive itself, and you can't make a heat resistant lens for my glasses to be in there, guys?
Here's me being honest. I do keep my glasses in the car, and I've seen no damage.
Right.
But it could be that they're degrading over time, and I'm going to run into a tree in a minute.
To your defense, maybe you're not seeing well. Yeah. You see no damage because you can't see real well.
Are you still in here right now? I don't know. But yeah, the car, you're right. The car needs to, we can make a car that does all that, make me a better, I don't know.
Okay, you have a
hybrid.
We're
frustrated with our products.
Here's what we need.
Yeah.
You have a hybrid. Mm-hmm. And it has like this extra battery storage of energy. Mm-hmm. And it needs to keep
Don't throw your science jargon at me.
It needs to...
You seem to have a clear understanding.
Use that power all the time to keep like a refrigerated little compartment.
Or the little pop-down sunglasses case should be like there's a fan on it. There's an extra little vent.
But see, it needs more than that.
Yeah, because when the car's off, it needs to still...
It needs to like keep it at like 50 degrees or whatever. That's what
I don't know how you would...
It's tiny. It's a little bit of draw off the battery.
Uh-huh.
Bro, do you plug up your car? You don't.
No.
So it's the gas produces, okay.
It's just got extra, I don't know how it works, John. I'm not going to pretend I know. There's a tiny hamster running on a wheel down there for all I know.
That's one of my greatest, like, metaphors of faith to me.
Okay.
Because, supposedly I'm a thinker and a skeptic and all these things, but I get in my car all the time and just turn the key.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit about cars. My dad, we would fix cars. If our car is broken, we'd fix it ourselves generally. So I can do a few things. Mm-hmm. Certainly worked on lawnmowers a lot. But for the most part, when I just pull up the hood, there's a lot of things happening under there that I don't concern myself with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yet I have I have a role.
Right.
Turn the key.
But you know enough to know what's beyond your purview.
Right.
You're like, I'm not going down there where that belt's going.
No. And
I have no idea what's happening there.
Yeah. And it's okay that I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's just like, at some point in time, and they're getting more and more complicated now where you can't fix your car.
They are. we're in New Mexico 2 weeks ago. We talked about it. I was out near Roswell. But we flew into Midland, Texas, which is the high desert, basically. It's where Friday Night Lights. Okay. It's Midland, Odessa. So the Odessa Permian Panthers, which is the team that the whole thing's based on, is a real thing. And that's where they are. So it's just oil wells and then the little flames. You ever seen oil rigs with the flames coming off the end? Yeah. They're burning off something?
Yeah.
So those are light.
They burn off the natural gas.
So it's getting like dusky, and we're about an hour from the airport where we picked up the car. We're driving 3 hours to Artesia, New Mexico, where our hotel was. It's getting dusky. I'm like, okay. And then we start hearing the I was like, oh no. And we're in this little Honda Fit tiny car. And which now that's in my new bit about, because I talk about rental cars and how they put you in these tiny cars. You could pull back on the kitchen floor and let it go. And I have a picture now of some other cars I've rented I put on the screen. But I'm going to start using that one because it's perfect. Because I said it the next day. I was like, they gave me this Honda Fit. More like Jonnie don't fit. So anyway, so I'm in this tiny car and it starts making a noise. And I'm telling you, these wheels on this car are like personal pan pizzas. They're like 12-inch tires.
They're like the donut tires whenever you blow a tire.
Yes.
Right.
So you can't get it. So I'm like, and it's only at a certain speed. And I'm like, oh no. We're too far to go back because I'm like, we're exhausted. We've been traveling all day. We're exhausted. I'm like, let's just keep going. But then my brother, we pull over. Then he goes, I'll drive. He gets in. We get to like 70 miles an hour. And it's just, it's a desert road. There's nobody for miles. Farms and oil rigs. And then I'm like, let's pull over again. I'm trying to get under the car. The car is so low to the ground, you can't see underneath. Because I'm like, if the tires are damaged, or if I have a flat, I want to know, or if it's like it's out of balance or whatever. If I'm getting ready to have a blowout, and we get under, and the shielding, the plastic shielding or whatever, has come loose from some other. When you curb a car or whatever in the front, it tears those little plastic push pins.
Yeah.
So it was coming down a little bit, and then when you get to a certain speed, the wind gets under and starts making it flap. Gotcha. So it's just flapping. But I was like, well, I can't fix this. It's just going to come all the way off eventually. When we hit, and then it will damage the tire because it's going to just random plastic shards are flying everywhere. So I figured the only thing I can do is just to tear this entire housing down off of the car and just put it in the trunk or whatever, put it in the hatchback. And then I realized, no, that's not going to work either. I got it all the way loose except for one actual bolt. And I don't have any tools. So now we're laying on 1,000-degree, asphalt.
Whose fault?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
In Texas. And I can't get underneath to get a grip on the little thumb screw.
There's nothing more frustrating than not having the right tool.
So I literally went and got the jack of the car, jacked the car up, the scissor jack.
Yeah. Ugh.
Get it about, another foot in the air. And the cars are just gunning it by us at 80 miles an hour, 85 miles, because the speed limit was 75. So people are going by me at 85.
Yeah.
Just boom, and it's shaking this little car. We're underneath it.
Oh, okay.
And finally,
my sixiness is really struggling here.
If you want my, and you think I'm 60, come on, baby, let me know. That's your new book. Anyway, I finally just tear this thing off. So now there's just a gouged, torn spot on this. I was like, well, this is going to be interesting.
I hope the rental company's not listening.
Yeah, exactly. Because now I'm like, well, this isn't my fault. I'm just now trying to drive this car.
Right. And it's not tell it to the judge.
And so And of course, when we returned the car, like the whole weekend, I was like, now I got to return this car and like explain. But it's one of these airports where it's so small, you just turn in the key. There's nobody there. It's a drop box. So I'm just waiting to hear from Hertz.
So you haven't talked to anybody?
No, I'm waiting to hear from Hertz. But I kept the shield, like I put it in underneath the little flap of where the emergency kit goes. But I kind of just put it under there. So I'm like, well, next time they go to change the oil, they're going to see that this little plastic shielding is missing, and they're either going to be like, where is it? Who is it?
Wow.
And I guess it'll just be a random charge to my credit card. But I didn't do anything wrong.
Did you get the extra coverage?
No.
Because your insurance probably
My insurance covers it, and then I think my credit card covers like deductibles and stuff too. But I don't want to deal with the headache of it, but I will.
Wow.
If I need to. Should I have like chased down a person and been like, hey,
if you couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, it was a thing.
Maybe you could send us an email. But I mean, really, the problem was the car was already messed up.
The car was already messed up when I got it. And I just, once we got up to highway speeds, we realized this flapping is an issue.
Yeah.
But it was enough that I was like really alarmed. I was like, are we getting ready to lose a wheel?
Yeah.
It was that kind of noise. But have you ever had a rental car problem? Have you ever wrecked a rental car?
I've not wrecked
a
rental car. I remember when we first moved to Mount Juliet, I rented a van for camp or something.
Yeah.
And I think we rented from a place called Rent-A-Wreck.
Yeah, or Rent-A-Dent.
Yeah. And
Rent-A-Wreck.
It was...
You're buying like a car that's got issues.
And they, though... I learned that the hard way. I think I learned in Knoxville, actually. The hard way. They were like, make sure you take a look at everything before you go. And so I brought it back, and then they tried to act like that I had put a bunch of dents in it.
Oh, right.
I was like, guys, you're called Rent-A-Wreck.
Yeah.
But and that's back before you had a phone or a camera on your phone. Mm-hmm. It's like they wanted you to somehow. We see this dent here. It's like, guys, we didn't touch a thing.
Did they stay with you on it, or did they just like,
that's one of those moments where
you're like, I promise you do not want to fight me.
Yeah, it
on
was.
this.
I was like, guys, we're not paying you anything. We're just not doing it. You guys are trying to hustle us.
You've got to stay firm with these people, John.
I did, man.
You have got to.
Did we pay? We did not. Is there a lien on my house right now? Maybe.
Is there a problem with my credit score? Perhaps. It's fine. I don't know. But, John, it's fun to kind of look back at trips gone by.
Oh, my goodness.
And I think that's what we're going to do now. We're going to look back at maybe other people's trips, other people's past lives.
Oh, wow.
It's a segment we like to call Talk About Then. Apologize for that segue. That was terrible.
Good.
That was not good.
Don't change a thing.
That's a bad segue. This is a weird one, and I'm only going to share it because we've been kind of downers on this. A lot of these news stories I'm finding on this site, This Week in History, are like total bummers. But this one has a little bit of a trivia that I think was interesting. This was the day the clowns cried, John. I know we have our own friend, Pastor Roy, who recently retired, our children's pastor for many years and dear friend, who was a carny. He worked for Carnival, and so he knew circus folk. So we had a couple circus stories the last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
This one I did not know about. The worst tragedy in American circus history occurs when the big top tent at Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. This is 1944. This week, 1944. It caught fire during a performance to a crowd of over 6,000, and there were 168 deaths, 700 injuries, but most of them were caused by the trampling as people stampeded out. Wow. Won't that preach?
Come on now.
Sometimes it's not the fire, John. It's you running, and you're out of order. You're in the chaos.
Yeah.
You're not listening to the. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was bad.
That's awful.
Arson was suspected as the cause, so who knows what that was about? Maybe people trying to get the insurance money or something.
But why would you do it while people were there then?
I don't know. Maybe it was somebody that was mad at the circus. Maybe like a disgruntled performer was the...
Wow.
The culprit has never been determined, so this is an unsolved crime. A photo was taken of the famous clown Emmett Kelly in sad tramp makeup holding a bucket of water, causing the event to become known as the Day the Clowns Cried. This is the trivia, though. 13-year-old future actor Charles Nelson Riley was one of the survivors. So as a kid... Huh. Which you don't, he's probably, this is like the weird timeline of our ages together.
Yeah.
I grew up watching the old Game Show Network. Charles Nelson Riley was the guy who would twist his glasses and go, He was on the Love Boat a lot. He was on Hollywood Squares.
Okay.
And he was like a character actor of the day. But he was just a 13-year-old kid. He was in attendance as a boy, survived it.
Wow.
And I don't know. It's built into. It's his origin story. Maybe.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to find one that's not as sad. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah,
There's one on Anne Frank. I'm just going to skip the Anne Frank and the Jackie Robinson one.
Yeah.
We're going. Oh, the first all talking motion picture, the talkies.
Oh.
Which they were afraid would not be a thing. They were like, because silent movies. It wasn't like we were waiting on talkies to be a thing. It was like silent movies were all we knew. So we're like, when they were like, we could have audio in the no.
Well, why would you need it? Yeah.
So it was hard to get it to take hold, or in the ideas of some of these businesses that were trying to make money on movies. So the first all-talking full-length feature film, The Lights of New York, premieres in New York City at a cost of $23,000 to produce. It grossed over $1 million, improved the theatrical value of talkies. By the end of 1929, Hollywood was producing sound films almost exclusively. So
it's a quick turn, yeah.
The first talking.
It's crazy what you think you don't need because of what you already have. Now that, Jonnie.
Won't that?
But within a decade, everything
1787, John, the first U.S. coin. Do you want to take a guess what the first coin was? What the denomination, maybe?
The denomination of the first coin?
Yeah.
Okay, is it...
1787.
Riddle me this. Is it an actual coin like we have today, or is it a different kind?
It is a similar denomination to what we have today.
Similar, or is it the same name?
The Continental Congress put this together. They approved it, rather. It was the design of this coin.
Because I was going to say it was like a...
The creation of the coin had been authorized
it wasn't like
previous
a sixpence
April.
or something.
It was inspired by Benjamin Franklin's works and became known as the Franklin
nickel.
Cent.
Cent.
So the 1 cent coin. Well, you got to think about our economy at the time. A nickel would have been probably... You wanted average people to be able to use it, so a penny probably made more sense.
Come
John.
on now. Okay.
Oh, boy, I apologize.
By the way, I'd like to say something about...
Yeah.
We just celebrated the 4th of July, which everyone says is our Independence Day, and it really bothers me.
Oh, boy.
Because that's not the day of our independence.
Oh, you're going to go all...
July 4th, 1776 is the day that we declared.
Yes.
And then there was a war that had to be fought. It wasn't until...
So why don't we just celebrate the actual day then?
Why don't we not celebrate the day we won the war?
That's an interesting... What day was that, John? You don't remember, and that's... You're part of the problem.
I want to say it was July as well, but it was... Maybe not, but it was like 17... Either... It was like 80... 81, 82?
I don't know.
You know what? I could...
So here, let me tell you about this coin, though. The combination of the words fugio, which is Latin for I fly, the sundial, and the message, this is the best message ever on a coin. What do you think the message would have been on a coin that was inspired by Benjamin Franklin's works? So this is not an In God We Trust slogan.
Something about a turkey?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Mind your business.
Wow.
Was literally on the coin. Huh. I don't think it was meant as snarkily as, maybe it meant just like, this is meant for business. This is for business. But mind your business feels very like...
Mind your business.
Mind your business. That reminds me of one of my favorite street jokes. I don't know if you've ever told you this one or ever told it on the show, but one of my favorite street jokes is there's a guy, he's sitting in like a Waffle House or something, and he sees this other guy eating, and he's trying to find something healthy on the menu. And this guy's eating just biscuits and gravy and all this stuff, just heaping helpings of stuff. And he feels like, I'm going to go say something to this guy. He's killing himself. He walks over to him and he goes, you know that stuff's horrible for you. And he goes, my dad ate this stuff every day, and he lived to be 90. And the guy goes, from eating all that? And he goes, no, from minding his own business. So that's at the heart of that coin. It's just like, look, here's a penny. Get out of my face.
By the way,
mind your business.
I was right about the year.
Yeah.
We won the war in 1783.
Okay.
I think I said 82 or 83.
So you want to celebrate?
It was September the 3rd, 1783. That was what's listed. I'm trying to think though if that's when we signed the treaty.
Yeah.
I believe it's the Treaty of Paris. Yeah. Ratified September 3rd, 1783 is when we... So technically you could go to when we won the last battle, which would have been Yorktown. I don't know, Jonnie.
I don't know.
I'm just saying though, what if we had lost? This wouldn't have been... It's not Independence Day until you win it. Come on now.
Okay, finally, John.
All right.
John Paul Jones, born this week, 1747, died 1792. Not a long life. Do you know who John Paul Jones is, right? He was a Scottish-born naval officer known for his famous proclamation, which was in response for demands to him to surrender during a naval battle in 1779 during the American Revolution. So they demand he surrenders, and he says to them from his ship,
"Hoist ye mainsails.
I have not yet begun to fight." It's a pretty good one. And that's like one of those, it sounds like it could be mythical.
Yeah.
It's so good. Or either that or like you had it in your pocket.
Right.
Like you go, if ever we get captured. He's telling his wife like in bed.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to go to war, but just so you know, I've got a zinger. If they ever capture us. And she goes, let me hear it. And then he tells her and she goes, that's good. You know what I mean?
It's very Michael Scottish.
It is.
He's got Michael Scottish.
Yeah.
And he was a
Scot.
But that like idea, I'm holding on to something. That was a great Seinfeld episode.
I think it would be good if you live in that era and you know you might be asked to go to battle to have I need some famous last words.
Yeah.
I need something in my back pocket. Because you don't want to go out and be in this like, oh, it hurts. Like, you don't need that. You need something that's going to be profound.
His last words were, oh, it hurts.
Yeah, it's like, they put it on their tombstone. It's like, there's a great line from that movie, Real Genius with Val Kilmer, which is a complete classic from the 80s if you've never seen it. It's like one of my favorite movies ever, but he says, he's really despondent in the movie at one point, and they go, what's going on? He goes, I'm reminded of the immortal words of what is it? Who was poisoned with...
Socrates.
Socrates. I'm reminded of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what? It's so great. But yes.
Because he drank hemlock.
He drank hemlock. They made him drink hemlock.
Yeah.
They made him commit suicide, basically. That's a weird thing. When you're like, we're not going to execute you. You're going to execute you at gunpoint or whatever. It would have been gunpoint, I guess.
Going to?
Yeah, they'd be like, no. Have a sip. Yeah. But yeah, you need one of those. I've not yet begun to fight. Man,
that's great.
That's just...
And that's
you want to be brave.
When I was going to catch those three boys, that's what I would have said.
Right.
That'd be like, hey, you guys, I have not yet begun to fight. Because truthfully, I don't know how. Mm-hmm. I would have left that last part out.
Yeah.
But...
And then they would have wailed on you.
I would have been getting beat up and say, hey, guys, I have not yet begun to fight. They're like, we can tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what if it was like a really awful fighter? This is the whole thing is like, what if like it's brave sounding, but he was a really horrible shipman? Well,
that's like the old story of like the guy that goes, man, I got in a fight the other day and it was 6-on-1. We beat the pants off that guy.
I love jokes like that.
Yeah, it's a great misdirection.
Oh, it's great. But you know what? You don't have to be misdirected.
No.
You could be directed straight to talkaboutthatpodcast.com.
Where you can find archived episodes. So many to listen to. Yeah. I know many of you are on your vacations. You're wheeling your way down to sunny Florida to get mutual sunburns, many sunburns. But while you do that, listen to the old episodes. If you want to support the show, go to talkaboutthatpodcast.com. There's a little button in the upper right corner there. That's how you can get ad-free content, and we'd love it. We love people that support the show. We love our patrons.
Yes, it means a lot to us.
They patronize us.
We also really do love to hear from you. Mm-hmm. We hear from listeners all the time, and it's always a fun thing. So let us know what you enjoy about the show by leaving a review so others can find it. But also you can email us. You can email me if you want, john@johndriver.com. You could email Jonnie @johndriver.com. Do you give out your email address?
I don't know. I don't care.
You don't.
It's fine. My website's johnnyw.com.
Oh.
So.
JONNIE.
Yeah. No H.
Have you gone and bought JOHNNY?
I think I'm to the point now where if you write in the H, it directs to me, or it'll be in the Google results of it.
Well, you need to own that.
That's when you know you've made it.
Redirect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is when people can't spell your name.
I had a weird Google moment the other day, though, and it was strange because have you ever Googled your name?
Yeah.
It's a kind of a humbling thing sometimes because it'll be like the words that come the suggested words that come after it. Sometimes it'll say like net worth. That's a weird one. Sometimes it'll say wife. I think people are looking to see if I'm married or if I have a wife. And what's funny is there are images that'll pop up. Johnny W. wife. 2 of them were of my actual wife, Curry. 2 of them were of another man's wife who is a blonde person.
Huh.
And the reason is Curry and I did a podcast, and it's called The Comedian's Wife with my friend Leland Clausen, who's a comedian out of Canada, who's done our church a couple times. Great comic. And his wife, Carrie, I think is her name, she has a podcast called The Comedian's Wife. So when it says Johnny W. wife, it pulls these images, so it looks like I have two wives. If you
one
Google,
named Curry, one named Carrie.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's what I just did it, by the way. For me.
Yeah.
It came up John Driver, Missouri.
Oh yeah.
Don't know what that is.
Okay.
Then it has me, John Driver author. I'm the third thing down.
That's okay.
Then John Driver Facebook, John Driver obituary. That's scary.
Oh.
John Driver poker.
John Driver heretic.
John Driver PA, and then this is interesting. John Driver King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and then another one. John Driver King of Prussia. I got to know.
Well, King of Prussia, is a city.
Yeah.
It's a town in Pennsylvania near Philly.
So I guess
so it's not saying you're the King of Prussia.
No, Johnny. I think maybe I just discovered.
You're from royalty.
And then there's John Driver Pastor at the bottom.
Yeah.
Interesting. What is John Driver King of Prussia, though?
There must be
a guy
must be a business owner or somebody in the community.
Driver on April 18th, 2023 was 65. Mr. Driver, John F. Driver of King of Prussia, was born in Philadelphia and he died. That's his obituary.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. Interesting.
Your namesake. You should be a John F. Driver, like a Frank maybe. John C. Driver's not working for you, man.
It's too late.
It's not doing anything for you.
I'm already here. There's nothing I can do about it now.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So
yeah.
But guys,
we're glad you're here.
I'm not making a cheesy segue here. We're just gonna say bye this time. It's fun every week though.
It is.
It means a lot to us, and we're gonna do it again, Johnny, next week on
Talk About That.